Attention bobsled riders! You will soon be embarking on a thrilling podcast down the icy slopes of the Matterhorn, so please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the bobsled at all times. Auf Wiedersehen!
Hello, yodelers. We are the Matterhorn Yodelers. I am your host today, J-Fifth, with
Jackie
and
George Clooney.
George Clooney.
George Clooney is here.
Whoa. Are we in Tomorrowland?
Tomorrowland.
We may be. Tomorrowland 11. So that gives us a little clue what we're going to talk about. We are going to conduct a heist at Disneyland.
Like Ocean's 11.
Ocean's 11.
This is all hypothetical. There's no way this would ever work in real life.
Yes, it would.
100%. I think it could work.
Foolproof plan
We do not-
to steal.
We do not endorse
We do
any
not
acts of
endorse.
violence or terrorism against Disneyland.
We don't endorse it, but it'll work.
No.
So what we're doing is just we're playing with, can you conduct a heist at Disneyland? And this is all fiction.
Yes.
This is not an endorsement.
You don't have life experience doing this at Disneyland?
No, because you go to Disney jail where Cartoon Pete comes around.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't want a lifetime ban from Disneyland.
Nope, this is
Stealing
all-
is bad.
This is bad, but this is just a fun thought to think about.
It's like what you do when you're in the
silly
line.
Discussion. That's all
Silly
it is.
discussion. And this is not an endorsement or and we do not take responsibility for anybody's actions because of what we've discussed here.
So what? How do we want to do this? Do we want to just talk about like what it is we're taking?
Yeah.
Where it's located,
Yeah.
and we'll just kind of talk about the obstacles we could run into and how we could avoid those obstacles.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can. So So in the military, we have this thing called OODA loop, and so it's kind of like your way of problem solving. So you orient yourself, and then you observe, then you decide, then act.
Right.
And so that's what we're kind of going to do with our planning a little bit. So what we are stealing is something that I think everybody walks by and goes, wow, that's amazing. But it's the most impractical thing ever.
Very much.
Yes.
And so what it is, it's the Crystal Castle that lights up. And it's created at the
It's at the Crystal Shop on Main Street.
Crystal Shop on Main Street, and it's the
We're looking at the Disneyland version.
Disneyland version.
Not the Disney World one.
Not-
Disney World we felt was too big.
And you got tunnels and a lot of factors.
So we're at Disneyland.
We're at
Yes.
Disneyland, and this castle is created by the Ariba brothers, or the company that is the one that's in charge of the Crystal Shop or the Crystal.
Right.
They're primarily in Disney World, but fun fact: Walt Disney was at the World Fair in 1964, and he was impressed with their artwork and invited them to the park, to showcase some of their skills. And so this castle is a method called like looping, and so they melt the glass and they loop it to form the castle. So it's a bunch of it's almost like knitting with with glass, and it's a really cool method. When you're at Disney World, you can see them create the crystal art there.
Right.
It's a really fun thing to see. You don't really see that at Disneyland. They really just don't have the space for it, and so they sell their tchotchke stuff. But yeah,
they mostly just do etchings.
Yeah.
At Disneyland.
The laser etchings,
Yeah.
and then they have
Yeah.
whatever little crystal figurines that people want to take home as souvenirs. Not that a large, I say it's 2 by 2 by 2, it's like
the one that you guys sent the picture
the
of.
crystal one. Yeah,
There's the one that's closer to the Disney World one that looks more like the Disney
there's
World
the
one.
Disney World one. That one is
Right, there's that one. There's a Disneyland one that looks
like that, but we're just doing the one that's at Disney, which is about $22,000. There's one currently at Disney World that it's $325,000 or $350,000, and they have I mean, you look at it and it's gorgeous. It just sparkles. Again, I don't know what you'll do with that. And I think there was a rumor that like Nicolas Cage owns one of those castles.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me. He seemed like a
He's
guy
got
that
like a he's
John
eccentric with
Stamos.
I
it.
feel like John
John
Stamos,
Stamos
would
would
have
have it.
something like that.
I mean, I think he has like a Dumbo.
Yeah, he's got like.
He bought the part of the original Disneyland sign,
Yeah.
like the D. He bought the D.
He always participates in the big like Disney auctions.
Yeah.
He's in it. Interesting. I didn't know that. But today we're coming up with a plan on how to steal it, the Crystal Castle. We all see it.
Burgle it.
Burgle it. Yeah. We don't think. You look at it and you're like, what do you do with it? It's just there. It's like when you get off
Yeah.
Star Wars and you see a $10,000 Yoda, you're like, what do I do with it and stuff. So, what do you observe when you see it there? Like it's at the front of the shop. It's lit.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And there's really no other security measures around it because it's so impractical. You're there
You
at
don't
the
think
bar-
it's censored?
I don't think so.
So
I really don't.
I watched several videos of kind of like people walking through.
There's not a
this
lot of
area.
information about like that area.
No.
Because it's a very small space. It's
Yeah.
very small, and there's usually 2 to 3 people manning the station. I think depending on the time of day, I think maybe in the more of the middle of the day, there's probably only 2 people because
Yeah.
Main Street's not as busy. But at night, there's usually like 3 people there, kind of back there talking to people, etching, and all doing all that stuff. Where the Disneyland castle is, it is just as you walk into the door, it's just to the right.
To the right. Yep.
It's just to the right. And
Do you think it
so-
can fit through the door? That front door?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
you can fit it through the front door. That wouldn't be the problem. The problem would be the diversion. You would need some sort of...
Yeah, you can't
You would
straight up
need-
take it because you're in the middle of Main Street.
Yeah, you would need so many distractions. That was like my strategy in going about it.
I think, yeah, watching like Ocean's 11, kind of like the sleight of hand kind of like divert, kind of like with Ant-Man, you know, in his second film.
So you're going to need at least...
You need a team.
3 people, three groups of people causing disturbances. Okay, one can be a family with kids.
Yeah.
That will be a big one, especially if you have them on the other end of the shop and they're like meh, and dropping and breaking other stuff.
Oh yeah.
That would get a lot of attention from the cast members away from the front of the store and towards the back of the store.
Okay.
I also thought of someone getting sick and puking everywhere.
So there's that.
Yeah, because they block off.
They would
so
block
nobody
it off.
Can walk
Cast
through.
members would walk away and they wait for a custodial.
Do you think there's cameras?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the other thing is like, yeah, you have the cast members that are there, but you also have the eye in the sky.
But you have to
command
stress.
center.
You have to stress security before.
And I was also thinking that with ride shutdowns
Yes.
to stress the system and focus.
I was like, all the
Elsewhere.
big attractions have to close. Indiana Jones, Matterhorn Thunder, Rise of the Resistance, and it's got to be done during a parade.
Yeah, parade is chaotic. The problem is you have to transport it out. So my mind with transporting out, it's either you're not getting through the front.
No.
You can't go through the
No.
front.
No.
You have to go out the back. And what's fortunate for us, it's on the right side of the park because there's a parking lot area back there. At least the aerials would go. That's where you have cast members coming in and
Right.
getting out. So you have to. I think you could get it out the back.
I don't think that's not the direction I would lean towards. I mean, I would kind of lean more in the direction of doing the baggage swap thing, where you're
Yeah.
passing it from person to person in a busy, crowded area.
That's tough because it's like a 2x2x2 like cube of like protecting it. Like that would be very difficult.
It would be difficult. This whole process is not an easy thing that we're
Yeah.
trying to do here. But like, if you're trying to walk out of this place with nobody looking at you,
So you got to ask, do you have an inside job?
Yes, I think
I
you
think
have to have an inside
You have to
person.
have inside people to do it.
My thought
I don't
is-
think you can just come in and like leave.
No, my thought is like, okay, like I have the thought of like multiple chaos going on, right?
Yeah.
Multiple distractions. You've got a kid that threw up everywhere in the shop, right?
But you don't want it to inhibit your getting out, whether it's to the front or the back.
But you've got someone on the inside.
Let's not force our children to throw up. You can just take some medication and you could throw up.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
The person who's
an
causing
adult.
And I think an adult throwing up is going to make a bigger mess than a child
Yes.
throwing up.
And it could be fake vomit, like
Like the one that our
hose?
grandfather had. It was just like it was like the plastic cart guy. Like, oh, I just threw. Oh, is that dog poop there? I think you need to call custodian.
or just bring a dog in and it's just diarrhea's everywhere.
Oh gosh, let's not hurt our dogs.
No.
Let's not hurt children.
But I'm just saying I would have an inside custodial person.
Okay, so we've laid it out. We all have kind of a different way of doing it. So let's start with Jackie and how she's doing it.
Sure.
And we'll just hear each other out because we've laid it out. We understand where our obstacles are, and we've like our observations with it, like with security, with trying to get out, and kind of some of the roadblocks that we can encounter. So let's hear your kind of plan, because we're all on the same basis with like distraction, and then there's some sort of like deception and chaos, like
Yeah.
to leave the park. So Jackie, what's your plan?
So my thought is I need to have the park have the worst day possible, right? So, ride breakdowns. I need it to be like flu season, so low staff.
Okay. So, timing of the year. I never took that
Yeah.
into consideration. It needs to be low attendance
Yeah.
kind of staff.
Yeah. Of course, it's got to be like during parade time where like streets are busy, middle of the day, people are hungry, people are cranky.
And getting outside of the park, like the roads are easier managed during that time
Yeah.
because people aren't leaving the park as much. So,
Yeah. And then having multiple groups in different parts of the park fighting.
you want
We're doing street fight.
you want street fighting.
I want, getting, so certain securities are focusing on the fighting and not on the security. We're stressing the security.
Okay, so
team.
security is stress. Obviously, security at the gates aren't leaving. Right. Okay, so that's there, but
Right.
you have chaos right now in the park.
Right.
Okay, where
So, and then I'm creating a diversion, right, like I said before, in the shop itself to where they have to close the part of the shop off
yeah.
to clean up whatever mess, whatever that diversion is. And I have someone on the inside, custodial, who is jumping on that job and cleaning up. But at the same time, I've got...
See, your friend's got the crummy cleanup job.
Well, they're cleaning up. I mean, obviously, it's going to be like a multiple job, like multiple people, right?
So inside this room, there's
Yeah.
you, and there's custodial.
Right.
Is there are there other people in there with extracting?
Yeah,
the castle.
Maybe, I don't know.
Do you think you can handle it by yourself? Do you?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm confident. Sure. I don't know.
Have you brought in something to cover it?
We've brought it in because there's like a mess on the window. So like we have to like cover the window.
Jeez, they threw up all over the windows.
It's mess. People throwing things. It's just bad.
Projectile. Save the castle. The windows. I'm having fun with this. Yes. All right. So your windows are covered
The windows
with
are
vomit. It looks like someone like
that much, but like there's stuff on it and you're like, we need to cover these windows to keep the magic.
it's okay.
To clean up the mess.
There's so much vomit in here. Let's cover the windows. Okay.
And so in that process, I have a duplicate that's in pieces that I've smuggled in through like ordinary things like water bottles and
Security is not gonna see.
No.
You're going to hide a castle into the park. You're gonna go. Let me get this right. You're taking the castle in piece by piece, a fake one,
yes,
through security.
yes.
Okay, that's really hard. Like after going with my family,
Well,
it's
this
like
in
they
general.
are thorough. They go through.
Sometimes.
Some
Some
are very,
are.
Some are.
Some are.
So do you
You
have a guy on security that
you
is
can-
gonna let you pass?
You can observe which ones are.
Every time I went through, they were just like
The ones
destroying
for-
my
the-
diaper bag.
The ones first thing in the morning, they are.
They're brutal.
But I noticed the ones later in the day, they're just kind of like, okay.
Okay, all right.
I've
all right.
noticed that. Later in the day, I do notice that.
This is not a perfect plan, but
I'm trying to work
Yes.
through it. I'm trying to piece it together how you're doing it.
and so we're taking the original and we're putting it in a trash can or like a trash can.
Trash can.
Yeah, the custodial.
But is it broken? Are you gonna break it?
I
order
am going to break it.
I thought about
because
that myself, like
I'm
whether
gonna
to break it.
because my plan is just to sell it.
You're gonna sell it piece by piece.
Yeah,
The Great Stolen Castle.
yeah.
You're selling on eBay.
Limited edition. One of 3 pieces.
We're gonna have to break it in order to like go, but it is gonna end up in a garbage can that my inside custodial person will have.
So the
So-
guy that's cleaning the vomit is going to store the castle.
Yes.
Okay. I'm
I know.
just like, does the vomit go on top of it or below it?
So basically, well, it's in a bag.
Okay,
yeah,
all right,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. Don't think about the details. We clean it. It was ice cream. Someone kid threw ice cream everywhere. It
Oh,
doesn't
okay,
have to
okay.
be vomit.
All right.
Um,
Ice cream all over the windows. Preserve the magic. All right. So you're
so we
once
have-
the garbage can is
the
like
the
out
cast
of the
members
shop.
taking the garbage can, but how do you get it past security, right? Well, there's trash cans that custodial has to change
Yeah.
outside of security.
Yeah.
Over by like Harbor.
Yeah.
And so they're gonna take the garbage, change out the garbage, but then, do a sleight of hand and just like whoosh, walk out. And
Okay.
then get in an Uber and drive away.
Okay.
And this is at the end of the parade.
What's the name of the Uber ride? Stolen Mickey? Okay, let's go.
This is also
You're making an Uber driver an accessory to that.
Yes.
Poor guy. He's just trying to make things work. And you're like, all right, I like it.
It's just
And so what do you do once you have it? At the end of Ocean's 11, they're watching the fountains of the Monterey Bay, so I'm kind of curious, what do you do once you have it?
We'll go to a hotel across the street and watch the fireworks, and I'll laugh evilly.
Evil laugh. So this is an
I don't know.
this is an evil action of trying to hurt Disney.
No, I don't know.
No, I just wanted to get a feel
I
of
never
like,
thought of it.
yeah,
So.
I'm just curious on like what you want to do. All right, Peter, what do you got?
Okay.
So we've all decided we're in, like you gotta get it out of the shop,
Right.
and it's just a matter of how you're going to do it.
So it's going to be a series of misdirection sort of things. So think like how a magician sort of sleight of hand sort of stuff, making you look at one direction when things are happening the other direction. So basically, the key would be to have some sort of distraction on the back end of the store that literally causes like a big scene and potential damage to a shelf or something like that, something that will cause a loud like smash or crack, because you're going to be paying attention to that as you're standing at the front end of the store where the castle is, where you will, you just time it, you have bring a little spark plug or something like that I know robbers like to use smash and grabs through like car
Oh,
doors
yeah.
and things like that. So like obviously that's enough that'll shatter
Yeah.
any glass that's
Sure.
there. And so if you just time it to the same time,
How are you gonna get that through security? I guess.
It's small.
They don't. I mean, you could put that. Yeah.
It's small.
I guess you could put that like on.
He's gonna have to have
Like, you
somebody
could-
on.
you
He has
could-
to have somebody on the inside.
You
Like
could
you
put it
have
in,
to.
You could put it
Yeah.
in some socks, you know, and be like, yeah, I've got extra pair of socks because I'm going on Splash Mountain later.
There was always like the false bottom theory of like when I worked at Disney World. When they look at your bag, they would go, but they didn't go like, "Let me see if there's a false bottom at the
Right.
bottom of your bag."
Yeah.
Like when you see the same people every day, and you don't think of security of like, "Let me see if they're gonna piece by piece bring
Right.
in something deviant." They're looking for big items
Yeah.
for somebody who's unstable to commit like an act of violence.
Yeah.
spark plug.
Disgruntled, yeah.
Oh,
It's just
okay.
about as big as
It's very
your hand.
small, and I think if you really want to, you can bring it in a false bottom.
Okay.
you know.
Easily. I think that's a really easy item to sneak into the park.
We do not endorse sneaking
No.
things into the park.
Well, and Disney security now is like they've got the body like scanners and stuff.
Yeah.
So you time that out. So all the distraction is up in the back because it looks like more damage is being done back there because multiple, like if you break a
Yeah.
shelf, like that's tons of those crystal figures and things like that that are falling and making a big scene, and all the eyes are there, which gives you the opportunity to put the castle into a box that you've already brought in. You take it out and you leave it, or you swap bags with the person I've planted on the porch, who's been sitting on the porch with a very similar sized bag package there.
Purchase the giant pumpkin.
And they swap.
Yeah.
Okay, then that person goes. Now, obviously, Disney has cameras, and if they question me, hey, you took this, be like, this is what I got. I bought this earlier.
You're
Here's
moving
my
quickly
receipt.
for them.
Yeah.
And they're, yeah.
So they're not thinking, and so it gives the person who was already just sitting there an easier way to escape because the eyes weren't on them.
Sure.
And so, to me, I think the easiest place to escape Disneyland with the least amount of eyes is the monorail.
It's true.
Yeah.
Because, like, you go back there, you go up that ramp, like, there's nobody even attending up there.
No.
The scariest part of doing that is if they figure out
In time.
in time,
Well, and
you're
that's
trapped.
Yeah.
and that's the thing. If
There's no escaping. Like they have
No.
they
and
have
if
point
that's the
A and
case,
point B.
you camp. You camp, you find some place just to chill out and relax, and you just wait it out till eventually, because eventually they will let people on. They'll eventually just consider it a loss. Eventually.
Well, I'm actually if they like if you're on the monorail and they figure out while you're on there, and they're waiting for you at the other end, that's the scary part.
That would be the scary
It's
part.
a risk. It's totally a risk.
You're
But
just you're
they-
limiting
they
your
would-
options of escape.
They would have to be really quick.
They do, and as I said,
Oh,
like
yeah.
it just depends. You may get lucky, and you may not.
And that's why I think it would be key to wait a little bit before you get on the monorail, because you want some of the hype of the event.
Do you think it would be
to
better to
calm
like
down.
jump on a ride?
No,
Before-
because
no.
you have a very breakable. I want to keep it
It's-
intact.
It's
Yeah.
tough with the box that you have an odd shaped box, and I think the longer you wait, the more they can reestablish control again.
Yeah.
And I think that would allow them to reinforce entrance and exits to the facility. So I think sooner rather than later. But you have to
Okay.
assess it in the
and the
moment
thing
for
is,
sure.
you
Yeah.
could have multiple handoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that castle can literally move across all of Disneyland from person to person without it even like
Yeah.
Disney even like if they are trying to be like, okay, they talk there and you'd be having them on this wild goose chase trying to chase down these people. It's like, no, I've got this. See, I've got a receipt for it, and then be like, oh,
It's kind of a
That's
it's
true.
kind of a Thomas Crown affair.
Yeah.
I don't have you guys seen that movie where
You're just
he stole a painting, and in order he goes like, but I'm going to return the painting, and so like they're all waiting for him, but the painting's already been there the whole entire time, but he creates this misdirection with like 25 people
Right.
dressed as him moving around, and they can't catch him because it's a
Yeah.
public space, but they can't shut it down.
Right. Because
So-
like Disneyland's
I
a
like
very
that strategy.
it's a
of,
very
like, the
busy
pass off.
place, and they can't shut the entire park down for
No.
one merchandise item. Even though it's a very expensive item, they can't shut the park down.
No,
No.
it's not worth. Again,
Correct.
it's a $20,000 castle. It's not like a 300,000, but even then, there's a cost thing.
Yeah.
So that would be kind of my strategy. In terms
What do you
of
do
how
with
I
your
would-
castle once you successfully evade the
I mean,
mouse?
I couldn't. I mean, you could sell it.
You're gonna
You
sell
know? No, you couldn't. You
It's
can't
really
sell it.
hard. Yeah.
You
It
would
would
get
be
the
hard.
situation that happened with the NBA player that bought Buzzy's clothes.
it? Yeah.
You know, people Disney's gonna be like, hey,
We want it back.
we want that back, and be like, oh, you had no idea that I bought this thing that's not legal,
Right.
that was stolen. And so you kind of just, you have to keep it.
You have to keep it for like years and years.
It's stolen art,
Yeah.
You just have
and you
to,
don't have it out in the open.
Unless you got connections on the black market.
and
and-
who wants to buy a $20,000 crystal castle
right,
as fragile as it is?
right. So like this would be more of like, this is a trophy.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't sell it. It would be a trophy.
I like it. So mine, I've got elements of all of yours. I
Yeah.
definitely inside, you need a camera guy. You need to be able to like have somebody that you always see like heist movies. There's always a guy tapped into
the camera system.
the camera system.
Yeah.
I think you have to have it. You have to have somebody in security, either like getting stuff in and out.
Yeah.
I'm with you with having the mass distractions with
Yeah.
ride shutdowns. See elderly people when they have a ride shutdown and they were in a wheelchair, they have to evac, and that takes long. And like,
Well, it's just like the more like
So you just go to nursing
Attractions
homes and be
down.
like, hey, free trip to Disneyland for the old folks home.
yeah.
yeah, or you have like, remember like in Ocean's 11 they have like Saul, that the old man was having the heart attack. You know, you can have him pretend that, well,
Yeah.
in that movie he was having a heart attack, but you can have him pretend that he's having a heart attack, and that's going to, request EMTs. I like the idea of having multiple shutdowns where
Yeah.
medical is needed. And I think that's the easiest way of getting outside EMT, because they usually only have one EMT guy or one team in the park. Usually. I don't know for sure, but I think that's the quickest way of getting outside help. And Disneyland is fortunate where they're really close. It's not like
Right.
Disney World
Yeah.
where it's far. It's a 20-minute drive to
Right.
get Reedy Creek in the park, or to get another EMT team from another park. So I think that's the quickest way of bringing an EMT vehicle, and that's how I'm going to get the box out. So how to transport it to that back lot of security and get it out that back door, I have to have security on that back door. That's going to at least allow my guy in quickly, and also allow me to bring stuff in. I thought my way of taking the castle out is using something that's already in the park. It's the popcorn machines. So I think you could put and I don't know, maybe you have to custom it a little bit, but you put the castle underneath the popcorn machine. Use the parade.
Or you could use like an ice cream cart.
I
thingy.
think the ice cream cart is actually a better idea.
Yeah.
So use that where it's got the dimensions already to put it in. And use
Yeah.
the parade. There's already going on. There's already chaos there. And I kind of thought that Thomas Crown effect where there's like movement going on. I thought about setting up like, what were those like where strange people all meet at once? Flash mob. Set up a flash mob. At Disney
I put
Park.
in my plan. I was like, plan it around cheerleader conventions and cheerleaders doing like tricks and stuff.
Oh yeah, just
yeah.
I think a flash mob of people wearing Walt Disney mask on the riverboat
would
of
be
there, just
concerning.
attracting people there, and just like having that chaos where security's like, what is going on over here? Like they'll hear the chatter, but they're not sure where the thing is going to happen. So that's where the eyes of security can go elsewhere and kind of create chaos. but have that ice cream. So what we'll do is usually they have like a cast member outside during the parade and have one inside. I don't know whether it's like for security reasons or just like to attract people or guide them if they need assistance. But I think have an ice cream like vendor come through, and while the other person's not looking, set up a distraction in the store, pull and put into the ice cream really quick. Just boom, boom. Not creating a replica, just snap and grow.
What are you doing with the employees that are in the shop?
One will be like distracted, and then I figured during the parade, one is out, or get to a point when it's like during that parade, one is distracted. Okay. You can go like, hey, do you have this? Can you look in the back, or can you look underneath for this specific one?
Yeah.
You can come in advance and ask like a bunch of like, would you have this and this? Oh, we don't have any more of that. Well, can you look? And that way you know what questions to ask before that. And so once you have it in the cart, it's a matter of getting to that back area where that EMT vehicle is. And then...
Which back area are you talking about?
Behind the Crystal Store.
Okay.
So, because I figured Space Mountain is a huge one to create like that medical emergency or false one enough to where there's a senior citizen group that's all like, my back hurts, I don't want to get out, you know, like.
Grandma, you're going on Space Mountain right now. I don't want to. You're going to go on and like it.
Is Zora going to be there? When I was a kid, Zora. You know, just create that chaos and use the EMT vehicle to get out of the back end area. So get the castle back there and... You know, have it in a way where you know where the camera guy goes, like, there's kind of a blind spot right here. This is where you would have your vehicle and have your switch off. And so that's where I would have it. What do I do with the castle? I would donate it to the Children's Hospital. Because you know how bad that would be for, like, Disney be like, sorry, kids. You can't have the castle here. That belongs... in a crystal shop where no one's going to buy it. I just think that every time you see the castle, you're in a maze.
Yeah.
So just to have the castle walk through, you know, every day and kids get to look at it and just...
Yeah.
It's more of like a Robin Hood sort of
Yeah.
It's a Robin Hood, and it's also Disney's forced to like, oh yeah, that was
like,
all part of the plan. This is our great
heist
donation for, you know, this where it looks bad. Be like, yeah, they stole the sucker and they gave it to the kid. And Disney's like, that's my sucker. You can't do that. And I kind of like, I can't sell it, like we said. And like, I don't want to keep it in my basement. The next thing I'd be like, either just keep it at the old folks' home and like, no one's ever going to look there. And like, have anybody seen a Crystal Castle? You know, like reward the old people that get medically evacuated or something. So that's kind of my plan. I think we're all very similar in some aspects of like deception, distraction, some inside people, and
I think you depended too much on inside people.
There's like I need at least a security guy and I need a camera guy. I do need that. And it's a long-term thing.
Yeah.
It's not like a win thing. It's like, I really do need that aspect of it.
At this point, you're like, is it really worth it?
It's not worth it. Again, this
worth
is just for personal pride to see if you can steal a castle in the middle of Main Street.
Yeah.
It's like, I watched a skit where they're all like, all right, this is how we're going to rob from the bank. We're going to go there. We're going to apply for a job and start a job. And we're going to build a reputation there, show up on time and do our job every single day. And then they're going to give us money every 2 weeks. And we're going to walk out of there like we own the place. It's like, that's a job, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's tough, but I think an inside job is going to help you of some sort. Do like if you have to bring in tools or bring in or modifying
an inside person,
a movement of something, because I feel going through security as regular people is really difficult bringing in anything substantial where they're gonna be like, that's weird, what are you doing with this odd shaped thing? It's a medical device for my child. Like it's difficult.
And
this whole plan is incredibly difficult because of just the odd shape and the fragility
This is-
of the object.
And the shop is so small.
It
And
is.
it's hard. Just getting out of the shop without being noticed is almost nearly impossible.
And I'm gonna say Disney's security cameras are so like impressively, because like I've seen videos where like, oh, someone stole a bag out of my stroller, and security will be like, okay, let me look at the cameras, and they will find it out that same day,
Yeah.
like so quick.
Do you remember when we like after we took like pictures or after we ate like dinner at the Floridian when I got married there,
Okay.
and like we
Oh,
took the
yeah.
monorail, and
We were
like
greeted
we were
immediately.
greeted as soon as we made it through the front door or the gates.
We-
We were met by a manager going, "All right, these are the rules."
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're dressed not like other guests.
Yeah.
You cannot take pictures
With other guests.
with other guests. You cannot, you know,
Make a scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because you were dressed in a tux and, you know, and I think they have this with people like they have big wedding dresses and they're like, I want to take pictures in the park. That wasn't kind of the case that we had.
You know,
But
because it was more subtle.
it was like a cocktail dress,
Yeah.
really. And
I think the tux is what really made us stand out.
Probably.
yeah.
I think the
And it was
Texas made
April
us
and it
stand
was
out.
hot.
It was so hot.
it was like 100
was
degrees.
So hot. I was
in,
sweating so
in
bad.
Florida. It was even warmer than a normal summer day, but it was just brutal.
And I didn't bring a spare clothes that day, so like after
You
we were
were,
done
like,
with
stinky,
photos,
like-
I was like wearing this tux, super hot at night, like, and I'm like, I don't care, I'm wearing a tux at Disney World.
So yeah, it's they're on top of things.
Disney security is no joke, and you should not mess with them.
Don't, because you get kicked out. The consequence is not worth it.
No.
If you're a Disney fan, you never want to be kicked out of a park.
No.
Don't start fights. Don't steal things. You know, don't bring drugs or alcohol.
Like I see,
Just don't do it.
These people on YouTube they're like, oh, I got trespassed, and they're all like lighthearted, and I'll be like, I would be devastated.
It would be.
It's just like you'll
it's like a
never be able
near-death
to, like,
experience.
take your kids to Disney, or
And that's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But these people like, oh, I don't care about the consequences of my future. It's like, boy, you just close a door in life. And I was like, it's not worth it. Again, we don't endorse
No.
stealing anything from the park, but this is a kind of like a
fun-
fun scenario
Just a
that you would
fun-
discuss in the
Ocean's
line.
11. What would you do?
Yeah,
How
I
could
think
you?
so.
How could you get away?
How
with
can
it?
you get away with it? What do you need inside? So with that being said, please let us know what you would want to steal or something that, or how would you steal
And
the castle?
no, we would not report you to Disney. This is not going to be released to them
Never.
to point out suspicious figures.
Yeah. So
We're not creating any TikTok trends.
No. So yes, let us know, you know, where our plan falters and how you would enhance it. You know, reach out to us on our social medias. We always appreciate your feedback. And with that being said, Auf Wiedersehen.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Matterhorn Yodelers. Please remember, before your bobsled comes to a complete stop, to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And remember,
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.